As of May 2011, only 12 women were CEOs of Fortune 500 companies. While the world has come a long way in regards to social equality for women, there still remains a large gap between men and women in the workplace. When a man enters the workforce, he faces competition for employment regardless of his field of work. When that man finds employment, his talent and skill are usually the main factors for advancement. When a woman enters that same workforce, she faces that same competition, but there is also an invisible competitor for her as well: sexism. I'd like to discuss today the cultural roles, the societal roles, and the traditional roles that women have. There are many limitations placed on women that are in place because society accepts them. Discrimination is also a major factor on what types of jobs and how much advancement women are able to achieve in the workplace. I will discuss what this discrimination looks like and how it limits women. Lastly, I will discuss some of the answers to this issue. While there are no simple remedies, there are plenty of steps that everyone can take to help change the way in which women are viewed in today's workplace. In the 1950s, there were certain expectations on women and men. Men were expected to be the breadwinners, and women were expected to stay at home with the family. The past 70 years have seen many changes as more and more women need to work to support their families, but some of these old traditional values have not kept up with these changes. Society has set some very specific roles for women in America. It is still very common to hear people say a woman's place is in the home. American society still demands that women be the primary caretaker for children. 50% of marriages in America end in divorce. Of those 50%, nearly 70% of those marriages created children. Nearly 80% of divorces end with the woman gaining physical custody of any child. Women face many limitations when entering the workforce, mostly because of their primary role as a parent. There remain strong stereotypical occupations for women that do enter the workforce. 60% of women that are employed work in housekeeping, retail trades, real estate, and service positions like secretaries and receptionists. These jobs tend to offer the most flexibility for a working single parent. Today's media also draws some of the sociological lines. Television, music, and movies tend to show women as objects of sexual desire or as homemakers. Reality television such as The Bachelor show women fighting for a man, and Hollywood's portrayal of women as sex objects. Popular music is dominated by a subordinate portrayal of women in America. These portrayals tell young American women what is acceptable. Young women accept these ideas as normal, which determines goals and ideas and sets the tone in a fertile mind. Added to that are the effects of ethnocentrism. American society driven by male dominance. Men determine a woman's place in America until or unless men are prepared to accept women as equal. The cultural norms will remain as they currently are. Women viewed as nurturing, men as leaders and providers. While society has a large impact on how women are viewed in the workplace, another factor which feeds into society's views is sexual discrimination. The minority of Americans continue to control the minority of Americans continue to control the majority. Women make up approximately 53% of adults in America. Women hold only 17% of all seats in Congress. Men overwhelmingly make the laws and interpret the laws in America. This makes it very difficult for legislation to pass that can positively affect women if it also has a negative effect on men. Women attend the same schools and obtain the same degrees as men earn less. Women lawyers from the same law schools earn 2/3 what men make. American business professional women earn less than 3/4 what their male peers earn. Which brings me to my next point: sexism. Men attempt to preserve homogeny over women Good old boys network. As women control the positions of authority in America, they are more apt to work together to continue the status quo. Creates fewer competitors by limiting how much advancement women can obtain. Therefore, men are only required to compete with other men for salary and placement. So what can be done? How can changes so big be made to help women gain equality? Here are a few things that I think can be done right now that will help. Alter the perception with education. Teach American youth that there is an equal place for women in the workplace. If it can be believed, it can be achieved. It is just as critical, if not more, to educate young males on this idea also. Another thing society can do is change what is acceptable in the media. Follow the money. If it isn't selling, people will stop producing misogynistic material. Purchase and support material that has a positive effect on women. Educate your children to do the same. Enforce and strengthen current laws. Compel employers to make pay rates for the same work equal between men and women. Incentives work better than regulations and fines. If companies can reduce their tax load by ensuring equality in the workplace, most of them will. Elect more women to political offices. Strengthen numbers. If more women are in charge of making and interpreting the laws in America, then more laws in America will be passed and interpreted in a positive way for women. Promote gender equality in every workplace. Provide training to management. Attitudes toward women trickle down in most workplaces. Provide quality on-site child care facilities. Allowing women to bring their young children with them to work relieves a major burden on their ability to succeed and advance. Strictly enforce strong policies against sexual harassment. Demand that employers view all of their coworkers in just that and not objects for their personal desires. Diversity in the workplace is a difficult issue. Today I discussed society and traditional roles for women in the workplace, discrimination and how it limits women, and what are some of the things society can do to eliminate this issue. Women make up more than one half of Americans' population, yet men control nearly all of American society. If true equality in the workplace is ever going to be achieved, then the way in which men view women is going to have to change. The best way to effect that change is to continue to gather strength and power, as those things are what American society understands the most. As of January 2013, 21 women were CEOs of Fortune 500 companies. That is nearly double the number I stated earlier from 2011. Changes are happening, even if they are slow-paced. American women deserve to be treated equally in every part of American society, including the workplace.